you raise your hands if you have ever been away from home for 11 years? I have. Until June 28, 2018. It's a day that's still vivid in my memory. I was home. I was in Busan, South Korea. It was weird. I saw people with monolids like myself. All the advertisements on social media were in Korean. I felt like I was smelling kimchi on the street. It was weird. I barely spoke the language, but I felt like I was home. I joined a summer program in Korea where I got to relive my dreams as a main character in a Korean drama. I'll walk the streets unattended. I would go eat tteokbokki, spicy rice cakes, with my friends after another day of the program. We would go to the arcades and take photos inside the many photo booths along the streets in Korea. As I spent more time with my friends, I learned the ways they communicated with each other. I learned the ways they communicated with their elders. I learned the ways they communicated with their teachers. I learned more about their culture, but it wasn't enough. On a typical morning, I bumped into some of my friends, and together we strolled down the hallways to go to class and start another day of the program. As we entered the classroom, a sudden realization rushed over me. There I was, enthusiastically waving hello to my teachers as all my other friends had their heads bowed down in respectful greeting. It was one of those moments where time seemed to stand still, and I was confused. Am I the weird one out? Am I culturally insensitive? The next morning there I stood, battling with my inner hesitation. But this time I reluctantly joined the crowd, bowing my head down. But I felt weird, as if I was performing a part in a play that didn't quite fit my character. After an adventure in Korea, I came back to my other beloved home, Los Angeles. As soon as I exited the doors of the airport, I was in familiar territory. I went straight to my favorite burger chain and took a huge bite out of the mouth-watering cheeseburger with, of course, an addition of juicy fries. Strange. I felt back home. Looking out the window to the California sunshine, I felt like I was back where I belonged. The palm trees were waving hello. The wide streets of LA were greeting me back home. The scent of tacos in the air made my tummy grumble as if I hadn't eaten a few minutes ago. As high school started, I found myself drawn into Korean culture irresistibly. I would fall in love with different actors as I watched different K-dramas. I would listen to K-pop on my shortest evening walk. And it didn't stop there. I would devour the delicious Korean dishes my mom would make as the aroma just filled the house, and each bite took me back to the streets in Korea. I was in love. I was captivated by the beauty and richness of Korean culture. In the midst of reminiscing, an identity crisis struck. Why wasn't I born in Korea? Why can't I live in Korea? Why am I here living in America? I am Korean. Wait, no. I am American. No. I am Korean. Who am I? I was in a tug of war by myself. I was caught in a web of confusion. I couldn't decipher which identity defined me. I have Korean parents, and my veins are filled with Korean blood. On the other hand, I took my very first breath here on American soil. So, who am I? It remains a riddle. I wanted to understand how everything blended together. The next year I went back to Korea for summer break. I was home once again. I came back to America. I was home. Again. What is my real home? Where do I belong? When I'm in America, people define me as a Korean. When I'm in Korea, people say I'm Americanized. I felt as if I didn't belong to either. I was an odd one in both of my homes. Perhaps it wasn't so much about where I belonged, but about which home would have sent me. During the pandemic, I was home most of the time. I began to film snippets of my life attending online classes. I began to edit the videos and share them on social media platforms. And little did I know it would soon become a bridge between two worlds. With the growing number of viewers, there was a flurry of inquiries. People were curious, very curious. They were curious about my life as a student living in America, and in equal measure, they wanted to see the colorful streets in Korea. It didn't stop there. Some with a passion to go to Korea would ask me on the subject of visas, and it was perfect timing because the Korean Consulate General requested for a video on visas, and I gladly accepted, eager to help people like myself. I was later invited to join a local Koreatown project supporting Koreatown businesses. I've so far created a video advertising a Koreatown chicken restaurant and a Koreatown street food restaurant, making a connection between the culture and my viewers. Time to time, I still get messages from my friends whenever they visit those restaurants and see my face on the television screens. As I grew more engaged, my very own community was being formed. After a while, I now bow down to my Korean elders comfortably, as I also wave hello to my teachers at school as always. My journey thus far has brought clarity. I can embrace my background with full excitement because this is my treasure. My life may sound very ordinary. You may think your life is also very ordinary, but you must know that they are unique. Your backgrounds and the stories that shape you are your treasures. All the paths we've taken, beautiful or ugly, confused or understood, are still shaping us and opening doors to endless possibilities. But you may ask, how did you come to treasure yourselves? Well, the trips I took to Korea weren't all beautiful and amazing from the beginning. They only made me more confused and lost. I don't remember exactly when, but I started to take notice of my surroundings. After battling with my inner conflicts, I shifted my focus to noticing things: the food, the culture, the people. I began to realize why I felt so home in Korea, where I've only been a few times. In fact, it took me 11 years to finally visit for the first time. I love the strong sense of love and loyalty within Korean families. Whenever I go back to Korea, there's never a moment I do not feel welcomed. Sometimes it's even overwhelming. Without even sharing hellos, my relatives would undoubtedly pull me into the tables and feed me with every possible Korean home-cooked meal you can think of. No words are necessary. This was it. I know that I'm home. But of course, I was still an odd one out in Korea. I was more fluent in English, and I couldn't fully understand Korea's life's customs or rhythms. In certain aspects, I had things Korean people didn't. I realized that what was so normal to me was not normal to them. They were impressed by my English-speaking abilities, and realizing how difficult English could be to foreigners, I was grateful. Something that was so simple and natural for me seemed so difficult and pricey for them to achieve fully. When I came home to America, I didn't stop being the odd one out. I not only physically looked different, but I would eat different meals from my American friends during lunch. I would bust out my kimchi fried rice with seaweed. However, realizing how special my differences were, I was grateful. I get to share what I love about Korea. Whenever my friends come up to me and talk to me about their favorite K-dramas or K-pop, a well-hidden sense of pride rushes to my face and always lights up. I'm also so blessed to learn from the American culture I'm in. The confident and risk-taking friends I have always challenge and encourage me because growing up in a quiet Korean family, my immediate response to things was to be gentle and quiet. I came to recognize that this is the space where I live. I'm a bond that can join two cultures. I love both, I understand both, and I talk in both. To either side of my two cultures, I stick out with unique traits that make me special. Although there are things I may not fully understand, I recognize the value of being part of both. And I think that's the first step to learning to treasure ourselves. We need to have open eyes and hearts to appreciate our journeys. Being both an American and a Korean allows me to experience two different worlds and broadens my views. I know it is something not everyone can have, and that's what makes it unique. There is always something we have that others don't. Many of you may hold 1, 2, or 3 identities. The number doesn't matter. What matters in how we treasure ourselves is how we begin, with open eyes and hearts, to explore and appreciate. Find more about your personal stories. Try to find something you never took notice of before, or something you took for granted, and find what you love about it. Of course, there will be things you won't like, and here's the caution. If we look at ourselves by constantly measuring what we don't have, we will miss seeing the good things in our lives. I went to Korea comparing it to what it doesn't have. I'll miss seeing what I love about it. And it's the same way around with America. It doesn't matter if I'm not fully American. It doesn't matter if I'm not fully Korean. I have the best of both worlds, and I like that. I embrace it confidently. The chapters of our lives are still being formed. Our identities are still being discovered. I've so far found my treasure, and this is the story I can share with you all so far. So, what is your story? And what is your treasure? Thank you.